Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Pretty good hockey game tonight.
It was exciting right to the end.
Tense and exciting, eh?
Yeah, it was tense. Can't win them all, Bruce. The Oilers' 16-game winning streak comes to an end with a 3-1 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas. It was 2-1 game into the last seconds when Vegas got an empty net goal. The Oilers had 16 grade A shots. Vegas had 7. The subset of 5 alarm shots were 8-4, with Edmonton having 8 and Vegas 4. So it was a night when Vegas, just to sum up quickly, Vegas had the better goaltending, and they had the better puck luck as well. It wasn't just, I don't think, in saying that Vegas had the better goaltending, I don't think Stuart Skinner was bad in this game. Both goals came on screen shots. Mm-hmm. So those are tough plays for any goalie, and he was fine. But he was good and he was lucky, and he stole that game for his team as a result.
As soon as Vegas got ahead, I was like, because Hill just made a fantastic save just seconds before the go-ahead goal, and then they made several more down the stretch.
And they have the most, who I think is the most underrated player in the NHL, Alec Martinez. Mm-hmm. He is a brilliant defensive defenseman. He was unbelievably good against the Oilers in the playoffs last year. He didn't allow hardly a sniff when he was on the ice, Bruce. He is a fantastic hockey player. Now, I'd have to look closely tonight. I noticed him making a few good plays, but he might have been roasted on a few plays. I'm not exactly sure, but man, that guy's a good hockey player. So, Bruce, this is our 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers podcast with 1 conundrum thrown in there. We'll have to think about what the conundrum might be. I haven't even thought of that, so we'll wing it. What's your good thing?
I'm going to go slightly off the board in a sense, but I really like the play of the new look third line with Ryan McLeod between Dylan Holloway and Corey Perry, and they kept catching my eye with some really good sequences of play. And right from the very first shift, there was one where Perry was kind of leading the play. He took a long pass and he got the puck into the zone. And he didn't try and drive to the net with it. He just sort of pulled up along the sidewall, and he waited for his line mates to pour over the boards, and then he just rang a nice pass around the boards into the spot where Dylan Holloway was probably going to win the race and win the puck, which is exactly what he did. And I just thought the puck placement, and it's just, good, smart play. And they had a few sequences. There was one really nice sort of lengthy sequence between the 2 fast guys, McLeod and Holloway, that ended up with a pretty good chance. There was one where Perry made a behind the back pass out into the front of the net that led to a great chance. I think that was the one where McLeod's shot was deflected away by one of the Nicholas Hague.
Yeah,
man, that guy drives me nuts. He's so good.
They have some really good defensemen on that team. It's like the strength of the Vegas team.
Mm-hmm. There's like a stick in every stinking lane, whether it's a passing or a shooting lane. There's a friggin' stick there. Even if there's nobody around, all of a sudden the puck's going through and there's a stick tipping it out of danger. Grr. Anyway, I just like the combination, the speed, and the savvy of the 3 guys. Because the two of them are real burners, McLeod. And there was also another play McLeod made in the first period. This was really subtle and sweet. He was coming in through the neutral zone, and an Oiler was clearing the zone, I think, on the other side. And by all the world, it looked like he was just going to dump the puck in on his backhand deep into the zone. I was completely convinced this is just a straight dump in. And instead, he held the puck And as he crossed the blue line, he suddenly, on his forehand, just made a short little pass to the guy steaming up the boards behind him, probably Perry. And I just was by McLeod, and I think, geez, that's a subtle, smart, sort of aggressively offensive play of, keeping hold of the puck and making a more direct play with it. And I just saw a number of positives from those guys, and not a whole lot of trouble. I'll use McLeod as my proxy for shots, 18-8 in attempts, 11-3 in unblocked attempts, 6-3 in shots on goal. So, they had the puck in the Vegas end the whole way. And for Perry and Holloway, sort of reflections of that. Corsi of 14-3 for Holloway, for instance. So they had, they got no goals to show for it. Hell, there were hardly any goals to be had in this game. And I've noticed the league is really tightening up this last while. And the games on the out-of-town scoreboard tonight, they're all 3-1, 3-0, 2-1. And they've been that way for a while, and we saw one. It's damn hard to score in this league. But those guys did a lot of good things, and I think that line has a lot of good potential.
Yeah, this is my first full game that I watched. Corey Perry watched his highlights last game, and I just was really impressed with his just how he's always in position, making the smart play. He is a very solid, for my first impression, is a solid defensive player who knows. He uses his head out there. He doesn't get out of position by overcommitting or charging up the ice, blowing the zone. I mean, I think if you gave Kevin Biek's a truth serum, he would go on and on and on about how the Oilers have blown it in the last few years with shoddy, stupid defensive play. And, I think that Anaheim team that Biekson was on, that Corey Perry was on, they really knew how to play defensive hockey. They were expert at it. It's how they won games. And that's veteran NHL players figure it out. It's taken the Oilers a long time to figure it out, but they're getting there if they're not there. And Perry he adds to it. He helps it. And I just can't see how he won't help these two players, both in terms of their defensive responsibility, but also their offensive acumen, by being such a smart player. If he's able to communicate what he knows to them, because with them, it's just a matter of confidence and savvy in terms of scoring more, putting up more points. That goal would have been great from that line, and they came so close on that play where Perry put it up front. It went off. Holloway passed it over, and McLeod almost scored, but Nicholas Hague made a fantastic play. The goalie was out of it. That was going in the net. Yeah. But they're so close, and you can see the confidence in Ryan McLeod. He's really carrying the puck. You can see the confidence in Dylan Holloway. So these guys have that confidence now to try to make plays and carry the puck up the ice. They both look fantastic in moments carrying that puck, and I think they're going to start making some scoring plays. I would have liked to see Corey Perry on the ice at the end of the game in the last minute, because I think. They have Kane out there. They're similar players, but I just wonder. Anyway, I would have liked to see Corey Perry, but I understand that they can't do that. He's been on the team all year. You can't suddenly inject Corey Perry in there. But
Kane had a good game. To my
Evander Kane did have a good game, and man, he was good. That was close to a penalty shot when Desharnais set him up with a great pass. In the second period, Kane went in and he was about to make his deke, and he got hacked. I mean, it's a last second breakaway, but in that moment, it's a breakaway. And
when Chicago did it, they got a shot on net and a penalty shot, and Edmonton got neither.
Yeah, I think a penalty shot might have been in order there. It wouldn't have been outrageous.
As it is, the Oilers actually got a power play. So
yes, they did.
That was fantastic. They actually called one on that play. It was, that was their 1 minute and 32 seconds to shine tonight. Was a one truncated power play they got with, cut short by penalty. They got 3 shots on that power play, and they came very, very close.
Well, Bouchard put
And
it off the post, right?
then
And Hyman got a
that
great
wasn't
shot at.
that wasn't one of the shots. And
Yeah.
Draisaitl had anyway. It was the refs weren't going to give him any looks tonight, and that's kind of what goes back to what we saw in the playoffs last year. Still bitter about one power play opportunity in the elimination game.
I can see that, Bruce.
When Ekholm is gushing blood, you know that game? So I remember these things.
I know you do.
Grudges.
I'm glad
I have
I'm
no
not an
idea who
NHL
the
referee.
refs were. I have no idea who the refs even were. They were just, all I know is they were wearing stripes and they missed the calls. So they missed a couple tonight. Leon got high sticked in a much more serious manner than the high stick they did call on Fogle early in the game, where he sort of got, who was it, in the chest? And the guy snapped his head back. Marchessault. Yeah, he got the old Pepe Lemieux head snap. He got the call, and Leon didn't do that when he got the high stick under the visor, and nothing.
Bruce, my good thing was one particular play by Connor McDavid, who had a spectacular game in a lot of ways, scored a brilliant goal. But the play that really caught my attention, Bruce, was his back check in the second period.
Third period.
I'm pretty sure it's the second period, Bruce.
Yeah, it was in the third.
Okay, isn't it the one I'm looking at the scoring chance document, 9:57 of the second period. McDavid. Oh, you're right. That's the high. Okay, you are correct. That was a different one. I'm looking at the one where Draisaitl put it off Hills, where McDavid came around the net. You're right. Third period, 7:49 of the third period. Thank you for correcting me. Where just a fantastic back check by McDavid, a hustle play. Vegas is breaking in 3-on-2. They're looking like they're going to have a fantastic shot. And it seemed like they scored on every one of their fantastic shots tonight. So it was a very scary moment. And it was just, it was Vegas had scored to get ahead in the game. So Edmonton could not give up another goal. And McDavid came charging back into his own zone and got his stick on the pass, or stick on the stick of the puck heading to the slot for a Vegas shooter. It was a really great hustle play. It wasn't unusual. All night long, the Oilers were back checking like demons out there. They were really strong defensively, except for a couple breakdowns. And the play then went the other way, and Hyman, I think it was it Hyman that set up Draisaitl? Yeah,
Hyman. It was Draisaitl to Hyman, back to Draisaitl.
Yeah, and Draisaitl
got a one right inside the post.
He got a really good shot, but he couldn't get quite all of it because he was just leaning the wrong way on the shot a little bit. So it was a really great shot because it's Draisaitl and he can get off good shots even when he's unbalanced and rushing in. But it wasn't his like AAA, one-timer. It was a hell of a shot. It was a good save. If he could have got it up, he would have scored, but it was just a bang-bang play. It was a fantastic play, but it's all kicked off by McDavid. And Bruce, this game, I thought the Oilers could win this game if they gave up fewer than 10 grade A shots, 10 or less grade A shots this game. I wrote earlier today, I thought they'd win. And they succeeded in doing that. They only gave up 7. In Knobloch's time as coach, they've been giving up before tonight in the 32 games, 10.7 grade A shots per game. That's about 2 grade A shots per game less than we generally saw in the Woodcroft era. They have been outstanding on defense. They've picked up their defensive habits, and part of it is back checking like crazy. And I just thought that play epitomized that approach that we're seeing from the Oilers tonight. I thought the Edmonton, even in a close game against Vegas, last year might have had a bit of a sinking feeling, especially in the playoffs when they gave up 6. Every time they lost, they gave up the lead. So
tonight.
They did it tonight, but it was different. I just felt like the Oilers were the better team, and they did. You're right. They did it again. It could be, that's the fact of the matter. But I thought the Oilers could have easily won this game. They weren't giving up much at any point in the game, and Vegas had very opportunistic scoring, and that was the difference. It wasn't a matter of Edmonton caving in like last year. when they gave up the leads, they caved in. Vegas started to outplay them considerably. Edmonton started to make stupid mistakes, and they gave up goals. That wasn't the story of tonight's game. Edmonton played a really smart, disciplined game. They just they didn't get the big save when they needed, and they didn't get the goal when they needed, and that happens in hockey, even when you have a 16-7 advantage in grade A shots.
Yeah, well, yeah, they had, according to Natural Stat Trick, 18-9 in high danger chances, so very close to our figures for the Oilers. And they had expected goals of 3.7 to 2.7. So Skinner actually did better than expected, but Adin Hill did a whole lot better than expected, and what's the difference? Like he was expected to give in essentially 4 goals, and he let in 1.
That's what I saw as well. That was the game.
So,
it was. I thought it was like a 4-2 game for the Oilers,
mm-hmm.
but it didn't turn out to be that way, and that's what happens in hockey.
On the subject of back checks, I just also a stick tap too. Well, Darnell Nurse made one sensational back check where somehow they didn't call him for a penalty, where he came back and stripped the guy of the puck on what appeared to be a breakaway. And after the McDavid back check, like just in the last few minutes when the Oilers were pressing, Draisaitl came all the way back to foil a great scoring chance. It didn't lead to one the other way as McDavid's had, but as a defensive play, it was equally eye-popping. And then Warren Fogle, the play he made with the goalie out, to come all the way back and deflect Karlsson's shot into the netting. That was a fantastic emergency defensive play. So you can't say the Oilers went down without a fight. Unfortunately, what they couldn't do was get the puck through. And in the end, they couldn't even get a point shot through to the front of the net. The shots were all getting knocked down by Stone.
Yeah, there was a play in the last minute where Leon had the puck. Yeah, I thought he just should have put it over to Bouchard, who's anyway.
Who couldn't get one through all night either. So
that's fair enough.
Yeah.
What's your bad thing?
Yeah, well, I know what yours is going to be, so I'm going to take the other one, the first goal. Late in the first period, and the Oilers had gotten this early lead. It was just, 4:35 into the first period that they scored a shorthanded goal. And looked like they might nurse the 1-0 lead to the end of the first period, but there was just a really small breakdown, and it was just one of those nitty-gritty hockey things is what really made the difference on this play. And, Hyman came back with the guy that was bursting into the zone, but he couldn't quite prevent the puck spurting back to the point man, and McDavid wasn't quite in position to get into the shooting lane, not being the winger that's usually covering the point man. And the point man's shot came through, and under a normal circumstance, I expect Skinner to have it and freeze it against his body. But what happened was this guy, Nicholas Roy for Vegas, he did this real subtle thing that as the shot was coming in from the point, Matthias Ekholm was in front of him, fronting the shot, and he just gave Ekholm a little bit of a cross check in the back. Nothing illegal, just hockey jostling. But he accomplished 2 things. One of which was he pushed Ekholm right into the lane of the shot, so Skinner didn't have a good sight line of it. And secondly, Raw opened up just enough space between himself and Ekholm that when the rebound did spill out, Raw was able to gobble it up and pump it into the net before Ekholm was able to take him out of the play. So not a whole lot bad from Edmonton, really. It was just this little, they got out-vetted.
3 little lost battles in a row.
Yeah.
I actually like the Hyman lost battle the least.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Hyman should have done better on that battle, letting the guy into the slot like he did. It just seemed like that was the one where things started to come unhinged, and maybe there could have been a little bit better defensive effort on that one. You're right, Roy made a very nice play. And, it's a Californian, as we call them, these outside shots that hit the goalie and they get batted in the net. And this is good teams score them. They score those kinds of goals. It would have been nice for the Oilers to get a goal like that tonight. They needed a goal like that, Bruce.
Yeah.
And good for Vegas. It was a fantastic, greasy goal. It would have teams love scoring those kinds of greasy goals. And Skinner was screened on it. And again, he was screened on the second goal, but the second goal, I think, was a much more kind of egregious sequence of pain. It starts out of nothing. Nurse is battling in the corner with the guy, and it looks like Nurse has won the battle and sealed off the attacker, but in the end, he lost the battle.
Somehow.
The player, yeah, he just, Darnold let up for a
He
second,
couldn't
or
deal
just
with the puck, and
just
the
got,
guy that followed through and got the puck
yeah,
somehow.
maybe Darnold got grabbed a little, and it was just one of those battles, and he lost. He lost the battle, but it's still not a problem, Bruce. It's behind the net. It's not a goal. It's just a puck battle lost in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cody Ceci loses the first of two battles, which I thought this was maybe all the people who want to trade Cody Ceci out of town. This will be Exhibit A, and they're in their.
I'm sure he's all over
argument.
Twitter.
It was not a good play by Cody Ceci, and I tend to like the player and speak well of him. I don't often bring him up as a bad thing in a game, but man, he lost two battles in this sequence. The first behind the net, and that was the worst battle because he just seemed like he wasn't ready to engage, and he got beat. And because he got beat cleanly behind the net, the Vegas player was looking like he was going to come right out in front. So that forced Warren Foegele to come down low. And I don't think he had a choice because, I mean, in theory, like if he was a very experienced defender, he might have kept on the slot and think, okay, goalie will take the shooter and I'll take the guy in the high slot. I'll keep with my man. That would probably have been the better play. But it is a guy coming wide out, and he has a chance to stop him. So I can see why Warren Foegele is lured down there. And the Vegas player passes it past Foegele into the into the slot area. And then who comes out but Cody Ceci kind of coasts out front. And just in time to screen Stuart Skinner on the shot, which rifles into the top corner of the net. So two mistakes by Ceci. I mean, the block shot just got by him, but the battle behind the net, he's got to win. He's a veteran defenseman, defensive defenseman. This is how he gets his money. This is how he makes his money, and he didn't do it.
Short side shot. Skinner pulled off the post a little bit. Jack Michaels spent much of the game, several times throughout the game, saying that Aiden Hill was pulling off the post, and he wondered if that might be a factor in later in the game, and it was, but it wasn't that goalie. It was the other goalie. Just pulled off a little bit, and Stevenson made a very good quick shot right up under the crossbar, and beat Skinner over the blocker and short side. That was all she wrote.
Hell of a shot.
Tiny mistakes by basically all four of the guys that we're talking about there. Tiny mistakes, and that's the margins of hockey sometimes. And when Vegas made
Cece's
tiny mistakes, Oilers hit the post.
I'm going to say Cece's behind the net was a big mistake.
Okay.
He's got to have that play. Like, you just seal him off, do whatever it takes. Don't let that guy come out with the puck, get beat cleanly out of the corner. That's a big mistake.
Okay.
But the other ones, I'll agree with you on Nurse and Foegele. And Skinner. I didn't really see Skinner. I mean, it's just that's a tough play.
Yep. Need a save, didn't get it. It was that kind of game where there was going to be one play where one of the teams needed to save and didn't get it, and that was the play. And that was the same play that Aiden Hill, about 20 seconds earlier, made a fantastic save off of Evander Kane, who was set up by Draisaitl right in front. And Hill was able to come across and stuff that. And then the puck went on the neutral zone. It was kind of muddled around for a bit. Draisaitl got in the neutral zone. He got tripped. That didn't get noticed. And then the puck came back into Edmonton territory, and it looked like Nurse, who won a huge number of battles in this game and played a really strong game for the most part.
Did. Yeah.
And yet here he is getting victimized on a winning goal on a play where it looked like he was in command, and somehow, he blocked the guy out, had the puck, but really didn't do enough with it, and the guy just kept coming, and he wound up bamboozling both Nurse and Ceci basically behind the net.
Bruce, what is your number? And I got to go for a second. I got to get my power cord here. I'm going to lose power. So just so you can fill us in on what your number is. I'll be back in a second.
Okay. My number is, I'm looking at at Evan Bouchard's entire line of numbers from this game. And Bouchard played 25 minutes and 20 seconds, most on either team, I do believe. And he had 0 shots on net. One missed shot, which was an absolute rocket of a slap shot on the power play that hit the inside of the goalpost and came screaming out almost straight across the line and out into the other corner. So that was a great shot. But he was just a little bit sluggish. I think it's fair to call Bouchard's puck handling tonight a little bit sluggish, especially on the offensive blue line. He was just having trouble making clean and quick enough plays against the way Vegas was checking. So the other 4 of his 5 shot attempts were blocked. So 5 shot attempts, none on goal. Well, this is what happened at 5-on-5 with Bouchard on the ice. The Oilers had 25 shot attempts to only 18 by Vegas. That's a nice margin of 58%. And yet shots on goal, only 6 for Edmonton, 12 for Vegas, and 0-1 on the actual goals because he was among those on the ice for the 1-1 goal late in the first. And it's just such a strange, 25 shot attempts, but only 6 on net. And Vegas had 18, but 12 of their 18 were on net, meaning the shots they did get were not being as well defended as the ones that Edmonton were trying to get. And it was, I don't want to dump all over Evan Bouchard. I'm just saying it wasn't his best game. And he was a little, just to my eye, sluggish and indecisive when he did have the puck. And Vegas was all over. Anybody who hesitated in this game was lost. And
from my viewpoint, Vegas did a hell of a job defending him. They were very aware of Evan Bouchard. They didn't want him to shoot, and they took away his shot and did a great job doing that. So, he got bested in the battle, so it's fair to criticize him, but also credit to Vegas for being so aware and so aggressive on him.
Oh, the defensive game Vegas played tonight was first rate. They had guys, defensemen, forwards, were, like I say, there was a stick in the lane always. And there were just a couple of times where I thought, just do something crisp and it might work. But if you stop and you wait and you look around, forget it. Wound up forgetting it quite a few times.
My number, Bruce, is 8. Connor McDavid led the Oilers with 8 shots. He just had 2 missed shots, so not bad. He scored the goal. He put one off the crossbar when he came in and made that now kind of patented move where he goes for the high corner, and he almost put it in there. 3 of his shots were grade A shots. He was flying tonight, and could have easily had a few more scoring plays. So I just thought he really came to play and had a fantastic game. And that's all I got to say about that. Conundrum time, Bruce.
McDavid was good.
Got a conundrum?
Do I have a conundrum?
So their next game's Friday, right?
Friday. Yeah, they have. Here's my conundrum. They have from Friday until Thursday, April 18th. There's exactly 10 weeks left in the season, and in that span, Edmonton has 36 games in the last 70 days, after having only 46 games in the first 120 days. So it's a really backloaded schedule. You'll have noticed Edmonton's played fewer games than any other team in the NHL at this point. And so they have all these games in hand, which is nice in theory and nice when you look at the percentages, but you actually have to play those games. And more I think about games in hand, I think the lion's share of them actually get played by the backup goalie, because when you're catching up games, that's how you roll, right? You play back to back, you catch up one game, guess what? Your backup goalie is playing that game. And that's what they got coming up this weekend, the first of what are 8 remaining back to backs. So my conundrum is, what do you do with the goaltending? Do you How many games do you want Skinner starting in the last 10 weeks of the season? And never mind how many out of the 36. How many do you want him to play in 10 weeks? 2 a week? If you do, that's
Bruce,
20 to 16. It's not much of a
it's
difference.
all about the playoffs. You don't
Hmm.
worry where you fit in the regular season. You're going to have every series is tough in the NHL playoffs. So you can't worry about it too much. You just got to do what's right for the playoffs. And so you have to figure, you got to know your goalie. How much rest does Stuart Skinner need? And
Nope.
you also have to make a decision before the trade deadline on another goalie. So I say you
Yeah.
go heavy with Calvin Pickard early on here.
Hmm.
Play him more than you might otherwise play him. See what you have. See if in the playoffs you're going to be able to trust him in net to be your goalie. And if not, then you have to make a move. You need to know that now. You need to know that in the
Hmm.
next month. So to me, the conundrum has a fairly simple solution, which I'm sure they won't take, which is to play Calvin Pickard more than is expected
Hmm.
and
See what you got.
see what you got. And yeah, just put him in net. See if he can
Hmm.
play. This
Yeah.
is a good Oilers team. They defend well. If he can't play with this team right now, you're going to have to make a move because in the playoffs, you're probably going to need your backup goalie to win a game, a really big game at some point. This has been you did a recent post on just how voodoo the playoffs have been,
Uh-huh.
and you just don't know which team is going to get that fantastic goaltending. The team that wins is likely. It's very rare for the team that wins not to get it. I mean, Colorado won it without fantastic goaltending, but you're going to need you're probably going to need that kind of goaltending to win the Stanley Cup. And I think Edmonton will need it to win the Stanley Cup. And Stuart Skinner, we're starting to see he can provide that, but maybe he's going to need a break or a rest, or there's going to be a change needed. So yeah, go with Pickard now and get your answer, and then you don't, then you know. So
Well, at this point last year, I'm pretty sure Vegas had no idea that Aiden Hill was a Stanley Cup caliber goaltender.
they
He
did
played
not.
all of 18 games for Vegas as of February 6th of a year ago. And then from February 7th to the end of the year, he was 929 save percentage, but he got hurt in March, didn't play until May in the Edmonton series. And so who saw that coming? They lost their number one for the whole season. They lost their number two late in the regular season. They lost their number three early in the playoffs, and their number four came in and was lights out. So,
Well, here's the save percentage of the Vegas goalies last year in the regular season. Laurent Brossoit 927, Aiden Hill 915, Yuri Patera 929 in just 2 games, Logan Thompson 915, and the one goalie who didn't get it done, Jonathan Quick 901. It strikes me if you have a team that really plays aggressive, sound defense,
hmm
that lots of goalies can have some success, and I think the Oilers are approaching that.
yeah,
And what we've seen is Skinner and Pickard both playing really well, but the team really playing well, cranking it up significantly in terms of their defensive play. So maybe it's not going to be a problem. Maybe if the Oilers keep up this defensive intensity and these defensive habits.
yeah.
Um, Bruce, I have a second. We're going to have a bonus conundrum because I did
Oh,
think of
okay,
one.
okay.
Is this loss a blessing in disguise? In that the whole focus of this team, if they keep winning, there might have been pressure just to keep pushing the wins, pushing it, where the winning streak becomes the thing, becomes this huge focus of your season, when it shouldn't be, when it's not that, when it's ultimately not important. Ultimately, the playoffs are important. This gives the Oilers a little more fuel against Vegas. They're going to be mad about losing this game. They're going to be frustrated about losing to Vegas. The focus is on the playoffs anyway. What does it matter? So this gives you a little bit more impetus if you needed any. In terms of beating Vegas in the playoffs, you're not going to be in any way complacent against this team. You know exactly what you're up against. You know now, just how close these games are going to be. It's another reminder of that. So ultimately, it might even be a good thing that the winning streak's off the table now, and you just focus completely on the playoffs, on getting ready for the playoffs, as opposed to any kind of distraction, which I think a winning streak can create.
Yeah, well, they're already. There's a pretty strong possibility that tonight was a playoff preview.
Yeah.
Right, with Vegas in 647 to 641 by percentage, with LA back at 583 and Vancouver way out of top at 730. And the one thing you do know going into the playoffs is that 2 plays 3.
Yeah.
You don't know who 1 plays. It could be from your division, could be from the other division. It could be a 4th or even a 5th place team. But 2 plays 3. And that's how they stand right now. Edmonton's 3 up on LA with 2 games in hand, but that game on Saturday night looms as a pretty big one already. I agree, you don't want the winning streak to become like a total distraction. On the other hand, I, as an Oilers fan, want this losing streak to stop at 1 game, which hasn't happened all year, that the Oilers have stopped a losing streak after 1 game. They lost 2 in a row to start the season, and then they had 2 4-game losing streaks surrounding the 1 win in the Heritage Classic, and then they lost 3 straight soon after Chris Knobloch became coach, and then they lost 3 straight between the 8-game winning streak and the 16-game winning streak. But in between, they lost 3 in a row. So don't let that happen, boys.
Yeah, that is a really good point, Bruce. I wasn't aware that they had not just they had
so long since they lost, but they've lost in bunches all year. Is when they have lost.
So they play Anaheim next.
They play Anaheim and then LA the next day.
All right, yeah, get back at it, and get back at it, and
don't have a letdown.
I have a lot of confidence in this team. Like I do think that their success was built on solid habits. And I saw those habits tonight. I thought they played a really sound defensive game. So I'm not, we're seeing something a little different from the Oilers in terms of their defensive structure, defensive play. So I think they're not going to lose that. And they're starting to take pride in it. I think it's starting to become they're part of their team identity. And fingers crossed.
Yep. Yeah, they played hard tonight. They just came out on the wrong side of the inch.
The inch?
The old soccer expression, the old English commentator. The wrong side of the inch, like so close, but didn't get the bounce or the
I like that. It's just explains so much in sports, especially low scoring sports like hockey and soccer, right? It often is just an inch here or an inch there. So that's how it works. That's how it goes.
Or whatever fraction of an inch was between Evan Bouchard's shot hitting the post and going in the far side, as opposed to going across the face of the other post. That was no inch.
Yeah.
Millimeter at most difference between where it hit the post.
Or maybe if Evander Kane's great shot early in the 3rd period, just as an inch higher, it goes above his pad or between his pads, or there's just all kinds of. Yeah. This is why we track grade A shots, because we know that the goals don't always tell the entire story. They tell the story of the winning and the losing, but in terms of the flow of play, sometimes it's good to know, and it's good to see over time, for instance, the grade A shots, because they also are a big part of the story. All right, Bruce, let's leave it there. Thanks for talking tonight.
Back at her Saturday night. Thanks for listening, everybody. Friday night. Thanks for listening, everybody.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.